So let us look at the first example we have today. Under our S2 takes V2. We have the first example say the men swim professionally. The men swim professionally. So where we have the men, that is plural, you underline the men. When you underline the men, you draw your arrow downward in the second line, and the third line you write your S2. Then we have swim. You underline swim, that is our third person plural verb. You underline swim. When you underline swim, it doesn't have an S. So when you underline swim, below, that is in the second line, you point your arrow downward, and in the third line you write your V2. So there we have the man. It's our S2, and it has taken swim as our V2. So we have S2 has taken V2 there. It is wrong for you to say the man swims. You see, that is the difference. It is wrong for you to say the man swims professionally. So rather we say the men swim professionally. So that's example 1. Example 2 says the pair of shoes are very expensive. The pairs of shoes are very expensive. So we have pairs of shoes. So shoes always come in two. So we don't say when you want to talk about shoes, you say pairs of shoes. When you say pair of shoe, that is singular. The plural becomes pairs of shoes. So here we are the pairs of shoes are very expensive. So you underline the pairs of shoes, and when you underline the pairs of shoes, you point your arrow downward in the second line, and the third line you write your S2. So we have the pairs of shoes here as our plural subject, and then we have very expensive. You underline R is the verb we have there. So when you underline R, you point your arrow downward in the second line, and the third line you write your V2. So we have the pairs of shoes as our S2, and it has taken R as our V2. So we go to example 3. Example 3 says their cars consume a lot of fuel. Their cars consume a lot of fuel. So you can see there, that is plural. We have cars again, that is also plural. So you underline their cars. And when you underline their cars, you point your arrow downward in the second line, and the third line you write your S2. So their cars becomes our S2. And then we have consume. When you underline consume, that is the third person plural verb. You underline consume, and then you point your arrow downward in the second line, and in the third line you write your V2. So we have their cars as S2, as has taken consume as our V2. You cannot say their cars consumes. It is wrong. So that is for example 3. Okay, their cars consume a lot of fuel. Example 4, which is of course the last one in the group, says some of the boys have legible handwriting. Some of the boys have legible handwriting. So you underline some of the boys. You can see some, plural. Okay, so you underline some of the boys, and in the second line, your arrow points downward, and the third line, you write your S2 there. So some of the boys becomes our S2. So we have. You underline have there. Have is our verb. When you underline have, you point your arrow downward in the second line, and the third line, you write your V2. So we have some of the boys as our S2, and it has taken have as our V2. So that is the last one in the group. We go on a 2 seconds break, and when we return, we'll pick 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right.